Morning, it's Thursday. Wow, I don't know if you guys have been watching the whole Rittenhouse trial, but the prosecution is really trying to split hairs with the definition of self-defense. So people are chasing you, right? Trying to take your stick away. And we all know what a stick is. Let me put it in here for you guys. Okay, so that's gonna be our little code word. Okay, so we all know what a stick is. So someone's chasing you down, trying to take your stick away. What do you think they would do if they got it away from you? I mean, if a person's willing to chase someone down who they know could take their life, the inference is that they mean to do you harm. It's pretty much a slam dunk. Now, unfortunately, I don't believe that Rittenhouse was able to verbalize that, and I don't know why. This could have been something with, the way he's been counseled, but the guy needed to say that. And I hope that the jury sees what we see. Now, some of the footage was just disturbing. These people that were chasing him were behaving like zombies, like willing sacrifices, like somebody running off a cliff. And of course, you're going to defend yourself when people are running at you. Okay, let's look at it this way. Someone's running at you. Let's say you have actually a real stick, like a regular stick. And that person's running at you and you hit them in the head. And there's footage of this. Would you be in trouble? Does it matter what you have that you're defending yourself with? So now they're saying that if a person's running at you, you're really not allowed to do anything to them unless they make a clear threat. I mean, this is just getting troubling, that in plain sight, that they could actually think that this guy, they had all the footage. Now, the prosecution even came down on him for raising his stick as a warning to those coming at him. Now, this is typical. Everybody does this if someone's coming at you, because it actually shows restraint. It shows that you don't want to take this person's life. So you warn them as they're chasing you, by raising your stick at them. And I don't know if you guys have ever had a stick pointed at you, but normal people usually stop in their tracks. But those were not normal individuals chasing him. And I have a theory on that as to what that was about. I believe that the people there were products of their programming more than they were victims. Now, when I say programming, what I mean is they were clearly emboldened by the media in their aggression. And I'm still in shock that almost no arrests were made as the country burned for most of the year under a president of quote unquote law and order. It's almost like they wanted it to happen. It was like gaslighting. Now, this is, to me, a symptom of a much bigger problem. The incitement of behavior by the media as a means to a political end. Now, the other thing that was on trial yesterday, now I guess it's streaming live. You could just tune into it, apparently. I don't know why they would have like a live trial like that. I don't think we've really had one in a while. But probably just to continue to, keep the divide going. They had his mother, I think it was his mother. I don't know if it was his mother or his sister in the courtroom, just bawling her eyes out, realizing and just being so angry. And I could almost feel the energy of this woman and all of the other people who have his back, and the division of races getting stronger and stronger, division of rights, stick rights, becoming stronger and stronger, the right-left divide deepening as this woman was sobbing for her son, who was simply running away from people. I can almost feel it. And that is what they were trying to tap into. They are really trying to destabilize America. So property defense was on trial too. Basically, what the prosecution says is you're really not allowed to use deadly force to defend your property unless your life is clearly in danger. And even that's a gray area. Because unless you can prove that you are in danger, then you have to go to court and prove that you are in danger. It's crazy. They have video evidence of Rittenhouse having a stick pointed right in his face, just inches away from his head, by a man who was aggressively advancing towards him, all on videotape. And the prosecution actually tried to say that unless that man offered a verbal threat that he was going to use that stick, that Rittenhouse could have somehow de-escalated the situation. Wow. And they also put the actual stick that he used or had and was carrying. It was on trial too. They kept trying to personify his stick and talk about it, about how deadly it was. I was like, this is crazy. Now, another thing the prosecution did is they kept encroaching on his bodily autonomy. How did they do that? Well, they wanted to defer his personal safety to the quote-unquote proper authorities. In other words, you don't have the right, according to the prosecution, of your own safety. You have to call somebody for that safety. You have to call 911. They inferred that he had very little rights, even to the safety of those around him or himself. That the only answer to that safety is to call the authorities. That they were the only ones that had the right to take that responsibility. You know, it was very troubling to think that you would have to wait for an officer, a fireman or a medic to save you from somebody else. It's troubling that there are large parts of our society that think that we should all broker our safety out to authorities. I don't know if that's in the Constitution or not, but last I checked, you have the right to defend yourself. But the trial made it sound like he had no right to do that. They also, freedom of movement was also on trial. The prosecution kept asking him, what were you doing there? He's like, what do you mean, what was I doing there? I had just as much right to be there as the people that were burning down buildings, right? Well, okay, so then why did you bring a stick then? Because he has the right to defend himself. See, everything went out the window when they allowed all those people into that city to do what they were doing. Then it's a free-for-all. If you don't want to control them, then you can't control the people that show up who want to be there too to help stabilize the situation. You know, that used to be a thing in this country. But the more and more the police state has come online, the more that they are taking our rights away to do that. It's now seen as a bad thing. Now, it's interesting because rich people, they've got all kinds of money to hire people for their safety. But us poor people, you know, we got to sit here and wait for the authorities to show up. And, you know, the more and more I think about everything that we're going through with this trial, seems to me like they're trying to rewrite the rules of engagement for ordinary citizens. And the reason to do that would be to destabilize the free pockets that are left in society in America. What they're really trying to do is rid us all of our houses. Ridden's house. To the point where even the privacy of our own home will no longer be safe. Anyway, I got an interesting show for you guys today. We're going to go all the way back to 1984. We're going to look at a few headlines later in the show. But for now, we are going to look at a particular album from 1984. And it's a breakdancing song called Electric Kingdom. Here it is here in Wikipedia, 1984. And what I'm going to show you today is how the insiders know the agenda long before everyone else does. And they start trickling out little clues and things to laugh at us, to make us feel, or make themselves feel as though they're justified in what they're about to do to us. Now, growing up, I was into breakdancing. I remember this song called Electric Kingdom. The group, as you see here, Twilight 22. So I looked up the lyrics because it had been a while since I had heard this song. I'm not going to play the song for you, but many of you remember it if you grew up in the 80s and were in the breakdancing, during the breakdancing era. Back in the jungle, a man is free, free from the street, from captivity. Break out, break in, it doesn't matter where you've been. Snake pit, lion's den, you need someone to be your friend. Come to Electric Kingdom. Now, what is this all about? Well, obviously there's some biblical references here. The lion's den, Daniel, the snake pit. Of course, that's the enemy, right? And here's one of the covers. This is actually the main cover for Electric Kingdom, as you can see here, Twilight 22. And what are they really talking about here? Well, I've told you guys that the electric grid will become the prison. The electric grid will become the prison. And they like to make fun of the people that do not want to live on the electric grid. How do they do that? By basically saying that we want to live in the jungle, and it's the law of the quote-unquote jungle. Well, what that is it's the enemy making fun of God's plan, which is being out in the wilderness outside of Egypt. Look at the pyramid hiding back there in the backdrop in the upper right corner. This is the Electric Kingdom. And look at, they even kind of show you the hypocrisy of it all. That electricity is created by coal. So here they've got the polluting coal towers, right? That are running the Electric Kingdom. Wow. And look at this. Down here in the bottom, they show plug and play electric cars. Now, as far as I know, 1984, was there even any electric cars in 1984? I don't remember any electric cars in 1984. Basically, that whole thing was just a dream. No one ever thought there would be an entire world of electric cars. But yet, here it is in 1984. Now, of course, the 1984 year holds a lot of context to it, doesn't it? Because that is the prison from the book 1984, George Orwell. This is how they're going to achieve it with the Electric Kingdom. Now, what else do we have here? Well, what does Twilight 22 mean? Now, this is where I'm going to seal the deal. This is where you'll realize that you can't make all this stuff up. Well, was this about the year 2022? Or maybe 2020? Well, in 2021, many of you will remember that 22 royal mummies were moved in a parade. This was some kind of ritual. Here you can see it, Egyptian mummies. Exactly 22 of them. Do you guys remember this story? Well, I'm about to show you what this really means. This is the 22nd dynasty of Egypt. It was called the Bubasite or Bubastite dynasty. Look at this, the 22nd dynasty. Now, those of you with ears to hear know what Bubastite really means. Bubastite is the root word for bubonic, as in bubonic plague. Now, this is a buboes, and I'm not going to show you this picture because it's kind of disgusting, but this is the Wikipedia page for what a buboes is, after which bubonic plague was named. And they call it that because there are swollen lymph nodes, and they appear like in the neck, the groin, the thighs, and the armpits. Well, this is Bastet, the cat goddess. And she ruled Bubastis. And she brought plague to humanity. Now, this is really weird, because back when I was in like my 20s, I guess, late 20s, I had picked up some cats from the pound, and the whole family, except for my ex-wife, got these buboes all over our bodies. Mine I got in my side of my head, underneath the skin. My daughter got them on her neck. My son in his forearms. And we went to an infectious disease doctor, and he said it was called cat scratch fever, which kind of acts a lot like the plague. You get these buboes all over your body, but you recover from it. It's actually pretty common in certain areas of the world. What's the point I'm getting at here? Well, cats carry disease, just like rats do. Right? So, this goddess, Bastet, who ruled Bubastis, brought disease, but she also cured it. How did she do that? Well, cats kill rats, which carry disease. But the cats also carry disease, as it says right here. Bastet was also depicted as the goddess of protection against contagious disease, but then she was also the goddess of disease. Now, here's where things go off the rails. This is where I'm going to tie it all in together. Bastet was associated by the Greeks to Artemis. What? Whose twin was Apollo. Remember we talked about Apollo? That he was the bringer of disease and also the cure for disease. And remember we told you that he required a sacrifice of 100 cattle. Wow. Now, let's keep going, because there's more. Here's the part about Apollo. This is out of the Encyclopedia Britannica. And her name was originally Bust, which became Ubaste. It also means a jar with ointment in it, which basically says that, you know, that it could be, there could be a medicine aspect to it. Okay. Ointment jar. The Greeks associated her with Artemis, twin brother of Apollo. Wow. So, let's take a look at this other album cover. I think this might have been the 45. This is the 45 maxi cover. And here you see the Electric Kingdom atop a pyramid with a sun or an all-seeing eye. the 22nd dynasty, which now seems to mean Apollo and his sister bringing plague to the world. This was in 1984, you guys. Buboes, swollen lymph nodes. So she brought disease and cured it by ridding the grain silos of the rats. Now, I very carefully counted the rays of the sun on this album cover, and you can do it too. I'll put a link to this in the pinned comment. I very carefully counted the rays, and if you count the ray that's right up against this pyramid on each side, you have a total of, let's see if anyone could guess how many rays are on this cover. Let's go back into the chat. I'm going to give you guys a minute to catch up here. How many rays do you think there are on the cover of that? Now, I'll give you a clue. It ties in to Thump. So this was a very prophetic cover. They knew what was coming. Let's see if anyone can guess it. Just throw out a guess. And it's a number that we've covered quite a bit. Let me give you another clue. Inauguration Day. Now, there's more than 66, less than 100, less than 122, more than 66, more than 40, not 58, a little bit more than 58, 33, 66. Let's see who gets it first. Maybe I'll send the first person who gets it a PayPal. I'll send you a $10 PayPal, but you got to have a PayPal account. Who can guess? Nope, not yet. How many are on there? More than 66, more than 45. Okay, so you need to repent, okay? You don't want this stuff uncovered? You want the enemy to hide? Okay, I think it's you that need to repent. More than 72. You guys are getting close. No one's got it yet, though. So whoever gets it right, just send me an email at kcbrown1973@gmail.com. And I'll send you a... Oh, who got it? The Major got it. 77. The Major. So send me an email. I'll send you a $10 PayPal. But you got to have a PayPal account, I think, in order for me to do that. The Major got it. There are 77, which is clearly a number associated with Thump. Remember? What was it? 77, 7 and 7 months or something like that. It's also the number of Apollo. Now understand, the spirit of darkness does not want this information brought to light. We are in the electric kingdom. The segue to that was the plague. That was the segue, because you have to bring the world to its knees to enter the electric kingdom. Wow. So let's get into some more of these headlines here. What else do I have here? Oh, this is Bubastis Temple, and it was at Temple Island, described as a temple island. It almost looks like a light bulb, doesn't it? An ancient temple. A bulb. It also looks like a cotton swab, surrounded by water. The electric kingdom. Now, what else do we have here? Well, electric cars are not as eco-friendly as they might have you think. Let's read about this. Berlin, electric vehicles are powerful in the world's battle to beat warming, yet their impact varies hugely from nation to nation, and in some places they pollute more than gasoline models. Data analysis shows. In Europe, where sales are rising the fastest in the world, their electric vehicles in Poland and Kosovo actually generate more carbon emissions because grids are so coal reliant. Elsewhere around Europe, however, the picture is better, though the relative carbon savings depend on what supplies grids and the time of day the vehicles are charged. Best performers are nuclear and hydroelectric powered. So, all of this is a big shell game. Rearrange the energy sources, make it sound like it's more green, But then you've got to produce all this electricity. How are you going to do it? Nuclear power? How are you going to do it? They're not giving enough incentives for everyone to go solar. You know, here's the thing. If they want to put their money where their mouth is, then make solar so cheap that everyone can get it. Right? Make it super cheap. I don't know how they want to do that. But if a government wants you to go electric, then subsidize the electric energy sector somehow so that everyone who wants to be off the grid and be independent from electricity can do so. But that's not what's happening, is it? Electric is very expensive. So the market is not demanding everything be electric. It's the agenda that's demanding everything be electric. Electric Kingdom. Now, this next story is interesting. Let me check in with you guys and make sure you guys are there. First, before we get into this video, talking about a QR code that they want to now give people to confirm that you got a Pokemon sticker. This is crazy. All right. I'm just going to play a quick clip of this here for you guys. I'm not sure how this channel is on copyright, but we'll see here.
This is a QR code that I got from Russian authorities to prove that I've got antibodies from a vaccine.
Wow. Okay, so this is real. Okay, Russia wants to start using QR codes, yes, barcodes, to start tracking people who got Pokemon stickers. Now, here's the interesting thing. Notice how they bait the hook by acknowledging antibodies that make you moon the nation. Look how many thumbs down this video has. Wow. Let's read some of the comments here. Comments turned off? Oh, here we go. 302 comments. Talking about surveillance, talking about restricting people's freedoms. This isn't the invention we need. Like, overwhelmingly, people are like, are you crazy? This is exactly what everyone's about. Wow. Okay, so that's what they're reporting on. Let's see if there's anything else in here. I don't want to get us in trouble. Let's play a little bit more of this.
I can use it to go to a theater, for example. But for now, someone can steal it from me and use it instead of me.
Wow. So here it is. Here's the code, the QR code. I mean, you can't make this up. Let's see if there's anything on here. 862 Pro Control. Look at that. It even says Pro Control on here. Huh. Control you. See if there's anything else in here.
We can read it using our phone camera. We take it, read what is encoded inside, and...
No thanks. I'm not doing that. I don't want anything tracked. So, that's the future. Now, this next story is interesting. This is Quartz. And this article explains that there is no truck driver shortage. There is no shortage of U.S. truck drivers, despite the media trying to tell us there is. They've been very disingenuous with us. The country is facing a shortage of 80,000 truck drivers, warned the American Trucking Association. It's a warning they've more or less repeated every year since 2005. So they've been saying this since 2005, so nothing's changed. Driver shortage argument has appeared repeatedly in news stories examining why the gears of the global economy are grinding to a halt. Executives at publicly traded companies have referenced the driver shortage in at least 45 calls with investors. But the assertion that the U.S. is suffering from the latest round of a 16-year truck driver shortage is misleading at best. About 2 million Americans work as licensed truck drivers, and states issue more than 450,000 new commercial driver's licenses every year, according to the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators. In fact, it's the most common job in 29 states. The problem is retention. Many of those licensed drivers are no longer behind the wheel because they can find better working conditions and pay elsewhere. Jobs in factories, construction sites, and warehouses pay similar wages and don't require people to work 70-hour weeks, sleep in parking lots, or wait in line for hours without pay or bathroom breaks to pick up a container at an overwhelmed port. The real shortage is of good trucking jobs that can attract and retain workers in a tight labor market. Annual turnover of drivers at big trucking companies averaged 94%. Wow, that's a huge turnover. That means that those companies have to refill almost every driver position every year to replace the people who are leaving. That's just weird. Trucking labor market isn't broken. When there's a shortage of something, workers willing to drive trucks, prices will rise and more people will be motivated to supply it. Eventually, the shortage should abate. Yet the driver shortage rhetoric has been repeated by the trucking industry since the late 1980s. How could such a clear shortage persist for 3 decades in a market economy? Wow. Is there something fundamentally broken about the trucking labor market? Now, if any of you are truckers in the chat, chime in, let us know if this is true or not. Short answer is no. The labor market for trucking works about the same as the labor market for all sorts of blue-collar work. Differences in pay entice workers to enter the truck driving industry and leave it for better opportunities. There is thus no reason to think that, given sufficient time, driver supply should fail to respond to price signals in the standard way. So the trucking companies are raising wages and the drivers are abiding. This is the hourly wage increase. Wow. So here we go. Since April, truck driving wages have gone up. Why in January did it fall off, though? That's weird. Wages were starting to go up and then they went back down. Makes you wonder, right? Oh, I know why. Wasn't that when the Pokemon sticker came out? And a lot of these companies started making it mandatory? I think that's probably about right. So once again, it's the policies in place that are causing these types of things to fluctuate. Not that everyone's falling out ill from the VidCo-19. Interesting. All right, let's go on to our next story. Now, we just talked about crypto yesterday, didn't we? They were trying to blame crypto gains now on people opting out of low-paying work and driving the labor shortage. That's pretty funny. Crypto gains may be fueling the labor shortages. They want to blame crypto for everything, as people buck low-paying work and take their chances on risky digital assets. Oh, so what we have is a bunch of people sitting at home trading their Bitcoin and making tons of money that's not taxed. This is what they want you to think, right? I don't know anyone living off of crypto and making a bunch of money on crypto. Okay, unless you've been holding on to it for a long time, you're probably, Anyway, crypto gains may be fueling the persistent labor shortage. A number of Americans have given up their full-time jobs to take their chances. The gains from crypto may be fueling, see, they say maybe, how do they know? Persistent labor shortages in the U.S. and across the income spectrum. To give up full-time jobs, take their chances. The study was conducted by research firm Civic Science, which surveyed thousands of respondents in the U.S. See, I don't believe this. I think this is just a fluff story. They can say whatever they want, but the real goal is to just demonize any freedom until they can get full control of it. And then they'll be like, okay, now we're in control of it. And now we can do what we want with it. Then they'll make it sound like a good thing. Wow. Now, we all know that they like to use the news to pre-program us for their future agenda. This one's pretty obvious, though. This is where they want to take the world. This is what their perfect world would look like. The article is titled, "People Are Sharing Controversial Things That Aren't Super Socially Acceptable Now, But Will Be in the Near Future." Things like polyamorous relationships. This is where they want us all, you guys. A marriage between two people of the same sex in conservative countries. Work in the same-sex or in the sex industry. Virtual sex. Not having kids. Eating bugs. Okay, this is going to replace the meat industry. They're just going to make a bunch of like locusts. This could be like the locust army talked about in Revelation. All of us eating locusts. Wow. Asexuality. Notice the theme here. Depopulation. Notice the theme here. With all this stuff going on, I don't see anywhere in here where people are having babies. Quitting your job. Oh, that's so they can put us all on dependent on the system. Not doing chores. In other words, destabilizing the family. Okay, because no one has any responsibilities anymore. Open relationships. Oh yes, we can ruin our children. Wow. Owning a canoe or kayak just to get around after sea levels rise beyond our control. We've been waiting for sea levels to rise since I was a child. They were saying the sea levels were going to rise. And fortunately, I grew up on the beach or near the beach for part of my life, and I've been able to watch the sea levels. And I fish a lot on the beach. And it's at the exact same level it was 30 years ago. So, I don't think that the oceans are rising, according to what my personal opinion is and what I've seen with my own eyes. Wow. Women and men dating purely for money. So they're trying to normalize basically bad behavior. This is crazy. Let's look at these comments. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to read these or not. Sometimes I fear the future. Huh. So, interesting. Now, let's get into this next story. And this just makes me so angry. 5 to 11-year-olds are now been approved for the Pokemon stickers. They're saying 100,000 so far have taken the bait. And here we go again with the giveaways. City states offer incentives, including gift cards for children to get the Pokemon sticker. Let's read about this. They can get, in New York, $100 if they receive their first Pokemon sticker within the city, or tickets to city attractions. We really want kids to take advantage. We really want to take advantage of kids. I mean, we want kids to take advantage. Families take advantage of that, says blah, blah, Blasio. Everyone should use a little more, could use a little more money around the holidays. This is just unbelievable. Louisiana offering $100 to children to get the Pokemon. Texas and San Antonio, parents can get a gift card at the grocery store. Shame on you, Texas. Shame on you. Look at this. Look at this. Shame on you, Texas, for not giving more money to these children. I have to just say that because of YouTube. Look at the Saturn in the background. Wow. With a little smiley face on it. Well, those are the headlines today, you guys. Let me go back into the chat. We'll be back on here. I'm going to save the rest of the headlines for tomorrow because I think we're running a little bit long today. We'll do another headline show tomorrow. And let's see what you guys are up to in the chat here. One way, $100 ticket to hell. One way ticket to hell. 5 to 11 Saturn, someone said. Wow. All right. When did they approve that? I think it's just a couple days ago, beginning of December. Or I mean November, sorry, I'm in the wrong month. Thanks. I love you guys. All right. Movie called The Cube. I think we covered that a while back. A lot of the stuff we had, and we pulled it down to protect the channel. So a lot of stuff I just can't show you guys because it's too damaging to their system. They don't want that stuff here. Maybe I'll upload it to Odyssey, possibly. But some of it I didn't save. It just got deleted forever. 511 is Saturn, yes. Oh yeah, today's Vets Day. 11/11/21. Isn't 11 times 11 121? So this is a big day. It's 11/11/11/11 today, apparently. That's 44, right? All right. All right, guys. I'm going to pop off of here. Thanks for showing up. I'll see you guys all tomorrow with some more headlines and maybe some updates on the Rittenhouse trial. See how that shakes out. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take care and be safe.